Welcome to the 4th edition of QuayCast, news, discussions and insights from Quay Pharmaceuticals, one of the fastest growing CDMOs in the world today. In this episode, Michael Kruidenier and Dr. Ivan Langan from Quay Pharma talk to Adam Andersen, Group Director from Informa Markets, discussing how they are adapting to COVID-19 and the new and emerging virtual conference world.
My name is Michael Kruidenier. I'm Head of Business Development, globally responsible for live biotherapeutics. I've been at Quay for 7 years and are very much focused on the live biotherapeutic space, although I also deal with some small molecule companies around the globe outside Europe.
I'll go ahead. So my name is Adam Andersen. I'm the Group Director for Pharma portfolio for Informa Markets, which is part of Informa Group out of the UK. And I'm based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I've been here about 2 years. I've been with Informa entities for about 14 years through acquisitions, and previously lived in the United States and ran a health and nutrition portfolio more focused on natural food, organic foods and supplements. But I've been in the media and trade show space for about 14 years.
So, good morning. My name's Ivan Langan. I'm a chemist by training. I've been with Quay 3 years, business development for the last 7. I've worked at various places across the development continuum, starting on the bench all the way through to API manufacturing, and spent some considerable time in clinical trials. I've been learning all I can with formulation since joining Quay.
Jens, so how has COVID affected you business-wise?
As Informa Markets, we're primarily in the face-to-face business of holding exhibitions and trade shows around the world, and so it's of course been a big impact to our business. But we have pivoted to like many event organizers, holding virtual and hybrid events around the world with some success, and really finding our way to that success. I think for us, it's been, as a team, it's been very good in terms of despite my own personal love of like being in the office and seeing people. It took me a couple of weeks getting used to this, video chat environment and all the time, all day. But I think we're doing okay. All things considered, I think it's, from my perspective, it's been more frequent, shorter conversations with team members, just almost daily check-ins with a lot of people, seeing how they're doing and talking to customers and partners. And obviously we can't have face-to-face in most parts of the world, but we are able to start having events in China. We have CPHI China coming up this December, and then we'll look forward to having more events in 2021.
Brilliant. I think, Michael, from my perspective, it means we've actually had to think a little bit differently from our traditional approach, shall we say. So from as Adam said, the face-to-face. What I have noticed, though, as time's gone by, just thinking about it, is that people initially were quite reluctant to use the video part of the face-to-face, whether it be a Zoom or a Team. Everybody comfortable on the phones, but not necessarily on sharing yourself, shall we say, on screen. But people have become more comfortable with that now as time's progressed. I think it's become more natural being able to go, yeah, this is me. And I've accepted that this is the way that things will develop, shall we say, over the near future, because ultimately I don't see anybody getting into big conference halls like we were.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a humanizing effect to it, where I've met, employees and customers, kids, cats, spouses. It's like I was talking to an employee and their child ran through in the background. It was like one of the best experiences because he was trying to be very professional and trying to really, demonstrate how he's knowledgeable of this particular area. And it was like just one of those great moments where I was like, we're human beings, and this is just how we connect now.
And that's absolutely brilliant, because it is all about being human, isn't it? And it's not that you're any less professional. It's just we're more tolerant, and accepting.
Yeah.
That's what it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. How about yourself, Michael? How's it affected you?
What I start to see more is when I used to go to conferences, is people used to be suited and booted, ties, shirts. But I mean, more and more of my clients sitting in their T-shirts and shorts than they are sitting there with a suit on and tie to make this conversation. I made an exception this morning to wear a shirt. So that is one of the changes. The biggest change for me, myself, is work-wise. I'm used to be nearly 75% of my time abroad conferences and meeting clients. I spend 60% of my time now working from home, being at home. And there's a massive change there. My wife is absolutely delighted because time period I've been at home is the longest she ever seen me. before I used to be working abroad. What I do miss is the physical contact, having a chat over a cup of coffee. You still can do it. Even three of us can do it. We have a cup of coffee, we can have a chat. But I miss the speaking to the people, to walking up to the people. It takes a lot more time to speak to focused people in a certain dedicated area. For me, life biotherapeutics, a conference, you could walk around and within an hour you could have spoken to 20 people, where now probably it takes you about a good 24 hours to speak to 2 clients in a similar matter. So there's a little bit of focus and speaking to a large group of people that has really, really changed. But the white in the eyes I can now see, although sometimes in meetings I'm the only person who has the camera on and everybody else is hiding behind their desk or screen or whatever, because, as you said, they maybe find themselves sitting in an area which they don't want to share with the rest of the public.
Mm-hmm. You make an interesting point, Michael, that a customer mentioned to me yesterday. With us no longer being going to conferences, time, when you go to conference, you're automatically tuned into going there. Everybody's focused. You put your out of office on, you put your voicemails on, you make that time and space available to be really focused on what you want to achieve at a conference. Within the new digital world, we're almost trying to do, and I fell foul of this the other week actually, where I forgot to put my out of office on. I went to a conference, participated, was doing partnering, and in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got emails coming in, I've got my phone going ding-a-ling, and because I hadn't put my out of office on, it was almost expected, in my mind's eye, probably unfair of me, to respond. So it's that discipline, I think, even though we're in the digital world, we still need to behave as we would have in days pre-COVID in terms of attending a meeting or whatever, just not make ourselves always accessible. I think that's the fear I have now, that we're too accessible, or the response time is expected to be too immediate, because guess what? We're in the office at home, we're on the online, and we're all trying to do same kind of things activity-wise as we used to do previously. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Adam and Michael.
Yeah, I think like I mentioned, it took me a couple of weeks to really get adjusted to this, where it seemed like calls were starting earlier and going later because there's no commute. You're just here in your home, and you feel like you're always present. There is as Michael mentioned there, I feel like there's a silver lining. I've had more time with my wife, my kids, and being able to drop them off at school and not traveling less. I'm traveling a lot less, but certainly I think when we do return to all that, it's going to be much more intentional when we go to those conferences, as you say, Ivan. Like people are going to be really scheduled and focused on where they are. And I think we as an organizer, we know we have to really be aware of that and be able to create that hybrid environment for those who maybe don't feel comfortable or not yet able to travel as events come back. But it's definitely a different scenario when the event is happening, but your environment hasn't really changed. And I think that's really the challenge for people, is really getting them, as you say, like get on the out of office, voicemail on, so that people are there and present for a meeting. They're not just continuing their web shopping while they're attending some sessions.
Having seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, I would say what I mean by that. I'm not talking about my clients. I'm talking about the new way of doing digital conferencing. The bad I've seen is the chairwoman making an opening statement, living in the country, living in the countryside of a European country, not revealing who this person is, not revealing who the conference was by, but her basically internet network was great maybe to do a telephone call over. It became poor when she started opening her camera and became worse when she started doing her presentation. This was the opening presentation of the conference.
Wow.
Straight away were enormous technical issues because one thing, the screen froze. Secondly, they couldn't hear the person speaking. That for me was the bad. Then I've seen a hybrid version of it before we went into complete lockdown when I did a conference in Paris, where there were people still who hadn't cancelled their flights but came to Paris, and there were a lot of people already saying they needed to stay at home because they were scared that they would be locked in Paris or whatever. So there were lots of people at the conference, were booths at the conference, and that was for me the first hybrid situation where the change started. That really worked because people at the presentations, there were people going to the hall itself to listen to these presentations, and there were people there to mingle with and have a cup of coffee with. I can see that hybrid version for loads of people in the future really, really working. That they particularly don't want to be out of the office for 3 days to travel to a country and be at a conference for 2 days, but also the preparation, the flying and traveling. So I can see that happening. The very good I'm hoping to experience pretty soon is where there are 3D booths with the networking. All the conference presentations are pre-recorded, so you will see high quality presentations. The biggest problem I still have with all of that is I can't see who is listening to this person speaking, sitting in the room, because you gauge yourself as well with your competitors and possible client opportunities, especially when your company is speaking. Those are my good, bad, and uglies. And I'm waiting for the progression. I'm waiting for the next step to turn it into something which is definitely sustainable in the not too distant future.
Yeah, so we have CPHI Festival of Pharma starting next week, October 5th to the 16th, and we're really excited because we have been learning a lot from our colleagues within Informa, but also other organizers, just seeing what has been done right and what has been, could be improved upon. And I think you make a really good point about, whether it's connections, and you really can't take for granted all those little details. And so we're doing a mix of pre-recorded sessions, as you mentioned, with some live ones, because some people really do still want to have that live experience. And what we prioritized overall is, we know when people come to a CPHI Worldwide or a Pharma Pack Europe or any of those events, that they're there to really make connections and have quality meetings. And so that's what we prioritize, our network and our networking and our matchmaking through that process when we chose our platform and kind of how we created the content around that. So we're hoping that it's a good experience that we're, in terms of being able to feel like you won't be able to say like you're sitting in a theater and looking over and seeing your competitor or a colleague or someone but at least you'll be able to have that experience in a digital environment, and being able to set meetings in and around that content, and feel like there's somewhat of that shared experience, which is really what it's all about. And so yeah, we're looking forward to that. But I think of course there's always a chance to do better. I'm a big believer in that, and I think we'll come away with big learnings for that, and we'll continue to launch webinars and digital events to complement our face-to-face events even when they come back. And I think that will be the new reality of a hybrid type environment. And I think a lot of companies are probably saying, oh, maybe we don't need to travel as much, or maybe we miss travel, maybe we need more, or inversely, then maybe they're really thinking that there's a hybrid opportunity there, and there's and that they'll blend that all in together. I think we will try and serve that as much as we can.
Great. Can I a general question to ask the pair of you, really, from my perspective? Because while CPHI is really good for, meeting existing customers, and equally there's the serendipity of bumping into people who you might not normally bump into, just due to the volume of people. How do we see that kind of manifesting itself this year, it being a digital format? will it? Will it facilitate such serendipity?
Well, that's a great question. So we went with a matchmaking software that's AI or artificial intelligence as a base for it. So it does has that smart matchmaking component. Well, maybe it won't be the same as walking through a hallway or bumping into somebody in a hotel bar while you're in Frankfurt or Milan, but we'll have that impact of saying, hey, Ivan, or Michael, you've met here's somebody who has similar interests to you and fits the profile you're looking for. And so it may not be as memorable as some of those in-person experiences, but we'll try its best to pair with somebody who you might have some common interests or business needs.
Brilliant.
So the CPHI for us has always been our showcase. And when I say showcase, showing the world what we really are and what we really stand for. We always have presented us in a bigger way, with a bigger stance than we physically were. So when I joined the company, we had 40 employees and the turnover was less than 2 million. And the first stand we had at CPHI, I think, was 3 by 6 meters, so 18 square meters, 1/8. And I realized that wasn't working because in the back of the hall. So the company invested the second conference I did in Paris for a booth, which was 56 square meters, which was a shock to the system because of the cost increase and not knowing what it's going to do. So this has extended and grown and grown and grown. And for us, the stand must have the wow factor. Whereas last year we had a stand which was 235 square meters. So in 6-7 years, you can see the growth for us. But the amount of investment is always paid for the stand we built. That has something to do with CPHI, but the majority has to do with the amount of work and time and effort you put in. You will have that same thing with every digital conference. If you prepare for it, if you send the invites out, if you put some work into it, you'll get a return on investment. So it'll become a vehicle. For us, I think as Quay Pharma, the sad thing is we can't over-present us because there's nothing to over-present. I can't show the wow factor about Quay Pharma. Our clients have always seen us as, when they came onto the stand, of appreciating the amount of money we have spent and to be recognized by the success we had with those clients. Prospects to the stand purely because of the size of the stand, thinking that we were capable in the same way as our competitors around us. So the digital event now is, we have to put an awful lot of hard work in to achieve something similar. I'm pleased to spread over a fortnight and not 3 days because probably would have done 72-hour days to do these things. But no, any conference, digital or has to do with the inputs of the people who want to get benefits out of it. So it's a lot of pre-organization.
Yeah. I think we've discovered that there's a lot of our customers are so trained for the face-to-face events. Like you say, they know they have to get the right stand size or have the right sponsorship to have that right presence, and their challenge has been, and like, how do we prepare for this event, and what does that look like? So we've tried to, we've repurposed every person we can to fully onboard every client, give them that, because they just need more. There's a lot of small, medium-sized companies that need more onboarding and training on, all the digital assets you might need to really, present yourself in the best manner, and what that means, and all the technical terms, and making sure that you have everything ready. And that's been a challenge for a lot of clients, but I think for us as well, is making sure that good awareness for us, but also I think an opportunity as we forward in the hybrid future.
Yeah, and the other thing is that when you have a normal conference or a normal, not digital conference, you ship everything over, you put it on the stand, and you can have a lot of people walking on to your stand. The walk-on bit I also miss, because sometimes we had some very good walk-ons where now people have to look at your digital profile, and your profile needs to have certain buttons which seem to interest that prospect to say, let's go and speak to that one. On the other hand, we also don't have the people now coming to us, so I hope they don't come to us, where there's absolutely no interest in speaking to this person because he's after his free pen or his free post-it note. Or they looking around but can't find what they're looking for, so they come onto the stand. So it has positive and it has negative things of not having a stand. But
just to add on that, Michael, because it's a very valid point, actually. It's not just brand awareness from our perspective. Over time, we've developed our service offering. And within CPHI, we get the ability to meet people who think of us in one way, but then after having a chat, appreciate that, oh, hang on a second, you guys have actually are offering more than you did a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Whereas a lot of our competitors' service offerings are well known in the marketplace. They're quite defined. So people have already got that kind of, okay, if I need that, I can go to Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. And because of our presence within CPHI, we also get involved in that conversation where somebody would walk by the stand and, that 5-minute chat of, oh, you guys only do this. Well, actually, no, in the last 18 months or so, we've expanded. And this is now because we recognized, we could help in this particular area and that particular area. So it changes people's kind of thought process around us, and it highlights and develops our brand awareness in the marketplace. And I think it's that real contact with people that kind of I miss as well, to be honest, Michael. It's that physical kind of interaction that you have, and I struggle with within a digital format, because you're right, Michael. There's certain buttons that if people don't see, they may just pass you by through no deliberate, reason other than I'm not really sure. And because we're all time pressured now, more so in a digital environment, it's like, do they have that 5 minutes to spare or that 10 minutes to have a chat? So I'm just interested to see how the 2 weeks pan out, to be honest. And like you, Michael, I'm delighted there isn't 72 hours in a day, because I'd probably be on it morning, noon, and night.
Still, I think there will be space for a hybrid version in the future. But yes. I can't wait for that vaccine to arrive to really put your brand out there to the people who don't know you and do know you.
Absolutely,
Because the other thing is we do various events where we speak now digitally as well. As a speaker, you can't even see who you're presenting to and what the effect or impact is. Whereas I've been at conferences where 2 people in the audience were fast asleep, the other one was doing his notes, and you then look around and think, okay, the real audience in front of you consists maybe of 10 people who would show interest. It's all of that, the whole ambient I miss, but slightly slowly change my point of view when it comes to digital conferencing as well, because the conferences are getting better and better organized. So I'm really looking forward to CPHI digitally, and let's see what we can learn from it, and if there will be room to maybe improve on a later stage.
Yeah, we're excited for what we're offering for Festival Pharma, but also the opportunities it brings. I think as we were waiting to have a live show or a hybrid show this year, as things progressed over the summer, and we had committed going to the market by the end of June with a decision, and our content head of content very wisely said, I don't think we should do any in-person content because who's going to want to go sit in a theater? And so we started doing more webinars. And I think what we found right away was that the level of engagement was very high. I think there could be some element of people getting a little bit, they're almost overstimulated with all the virtual and digital events happening right now. So I think when things do return, when there's a vaccine, there's that, there's that confidence people have to travel and be part of events. I think they'll be much more, they'll be happy to blend that into their lifestyle of today. I'm getting on a plane to go here, but I'm also going to have a digital meeting or there's digital content I'm reading. And so I think that will people have adapted, as you mentioned earlier, Ivan, whether it's personally, professionally. I think they've this whole period of 7-8 months now, people have adapted dramatically to really blend that all together. And there's, as somebody said the other day, it's no longer work-life balance, it's work-life integration.
That's a really good way to think about it. You're absolutely right, Adam.
I really like that, yeah.
Yeah, that is. I'm going to rob that. Can I have that?
Oh, please do. No, I robbed someone else, so that's all yours.
Well, with situations as well that people fly out to the conference and attend, but the rest of the staff, which normally would come out to support, will be there digitally available to answer any questions or queries. So rather than sending a large chunk of people to these conferences, it will be a lot more focused on people like me and Ivan and David Bloom, who are the kind of person who will go and speak to people and engage with people.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think there will be, I'm curious about the positive fallout of what this current situation can bring to the whole of the conferencing and the exhibition.
Adam, I've got a slightly different question, if I may. Just touching upon the webinars and stuff. And I keep thinking about comedians here in the UK who say that one of the worst things that ever happened to them was going on TV because they've got to refresh their content so regularly.
Yeah.
Do you see us all suffering the same kind of difficulty in terms of keeping it refreshed? Or have you any kind of pointers that we can keep ourselves fresh in this new environment that we're in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, as companies such as Pharma and others, I think you have so much to offer in terms of your services and what you can offer, what you provide to companies and customers. And I think as there's an element of authentic content that is unique to you, and but there's also a little bit of call it an advert or an infomercial, whatever you want, where it's hey, and here's what we can do. And I think people are coming to expect that more and more. And I think that's okay, because that's just part of the digital environment. I think but I think even, being affiliated with a speaker who's talking about a trend in the industry or vaccine developments or whatever that may be, just having your name affiliated to that in certain cases really does help sort of open to a wider audience, because they're like, I didn't realize that company would be part of, interested in sponsoring that speaker, and what a great opportunity to get your name out in a larger manner. So I think there's going to be, I think we're all, like I said, we're all going to get better at this, be more intentional about it, and I think we're trying to find what those opportunities are to offer, but also what our customers want to be able to do that in the most efficient and effective way. And I think we tried to blend a mix of pre-recorded sessions I mentioned, but also some keynotes, some bigger names like Scott Gottlieb, the ex-FDA head, and who's basically on television every day in the United States and talking about vaccine and COVID. So trying to make it relevant, but also trying to make it something that, if you're engaged in that as a sponsor or attendee, that it's something that brings value to you. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what we aim to deliver with anything we do.
Brilliant. I didn't quite think of it in terms like that, but that's really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you got any questions for us, Adam, from our perspective in terms of the way things have been?
When you look at like Quay Pharma looking at Festival Pharma, what are your like main 2 or 3 objectives for the event?
The main objective from a company perspective is return on investment. And what return on investment means is that not only the money we put in, but it's how, as a business development team, do we prepare for the conference and make the wider audience aware of Quay Pharma and its services. Lots of marketing is not basically measurable because you can't physically see who's attending these conferences. But it's about spreading the news about Quay Pharma, sharing the brand and what the brand stands for, and that can only be done by the team. So our expectation is very much meeting as many as possible to talk to in the 10-day period, which is the first 10-day conference I ever attended.
I think for me, certainly CPHI is good. I love it because you get to see an awful lot of colleagues who you've worked with over the years, and you get a kind of a broader appreciation of how we all are behaving, and in truth what we're all kind of working on without specifics, but you kind of get a blend of everything. So and over those couple of days, it's 5 minute here, 5 minute there, which is brilliant. The other thing that sometimes, most conferences, to be honest, we send out digital invites and people are busy, but then you get the opportunity in real time to kind of, 2 minutes. And that's probably as valuable as the 15, 20-minute conversation schedule that you're going to have if everything goes well.
Yeah.
And I've been on conferences where you've kind of got that ability almost to do it. Some work well, some I think it's the infrastructure that causes the problem, if I'm being really honest, around the conference. So, I've kind of had mixed emotions about it. Sometimes I think, that's amazing, come away buzzed. Other times I think, you know what, that was a little frustrating. And I'm probably not the only person, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
So, I'm keen to see, as Michael says, we've spent an enormous amount of time and effort, like everybody does, in the run into the CPHI. It's maximum benefit out of it, the amount of kind of communication that goes out. And I'm sure everybody does it, because you must do. Consider 45,000 people go through the doors on a daily basis. And we're all trying to do exactly the same thing, maximize the return. And I know that's a very kind of salesy thing, but it's a large financial commitment for any organization. And the difficulty, as Michael pointed out, as well, is sometimes these conversations, it takes 2-3 years to come to fruition. You never quite know where somebody is within the development till you start talking, and then you kind of have that chat and you realize, oh, hang on a second, have you thought of this? Have you thought? And then they appreciate, actually, I may not be as far on. And it could be 18 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years before they come back to you, because there's a usual time frame that we can help them and engage them with. And that to me is invaluable. It's very hard to put a value on that. Would you agree, Michael?
Yeah, it's very hard to put a value. But we know when we do things good and right is when we see our competitors taking notes. And certain organizations who never would exhibit suddenly start to exhibit with a smaller stand and a bigger stand. I now see one of our competitors in the key account situation. I thought, okay, these were people 3 years ago who hired a room and a conference room across the road from CPHI in a hotel and tried to do it that way. But
I know who they are.
I had a smaller booth last year in Frankfurt. This year, the name is on the names of the account list. I think, okay, they have really grown. We have had clients of ours who we never would have met because of CPHI, who came to our stand, were pretty impressed. And as a pharmaceutical company, they decided to market themselves at CPHI and had a reasonable stand the first year, but an even bigger stand last year in Frankfurt. And that was purely, and I've helped them and worked with them to get that return on investment, to to really prep the people. The sad thing is that I normally have a get together with everybody from the BD team in the boardroom and everybody who's attending with rules and everything else, because the amount of money we spend and both the owners being present, I can't deal with. So I'll let them know what's expected of them, what the dress code is, what the rules are on the stand, how people should behave, and do a little bit of a training course. I've missed that this year, but it's been what it is, and let's see how we do this year at digital event and see what the return on investment is.
Good, yeah. We recognize it's a big investment, and appreciate Quay Pharma and others really stepping forward to support the new initiative of the Festival of Pharma, but also CPHI Worldwide and other events for many years. And as we're excited next week to announce our 2021 CPHI Worldwide dates and location during the festival. So that will be along with our calendar of the rest of the events for the year. So we're excited to have that announcement. And, as I told my team, I was like, well, next year at CPHI Worldwide, when we have that end of show staff toast, it'll be one of the greatest celebrations, because we've accomplished so much and changed and grown so much in that time from a digital perspective, but also just gotten our customers better, because we've been in this environment, not just assuming that we'll see them at the next event, but we've really had to work to really maintain those contacts. So it's no one knows for certain what the future looks like, but I think we have a pretty good idea of what that will look like in the coming couple of years. I think things come back for face-to-face events.
This conversation will be very fruitful. It helped me to even think deeper over the next what needs to happen as well from Quay's perspective to turn this into a success in the next couple of weeks, to really come out of it and say, what, enormously benefited us to have done this exercise and the way we've gone about it. It will help us to maybe make a template for the future as well.
Absolutely. I've certainly taken away a couple of things already that Adam has shared. Sorry, I'm doing a couple of nuggets that
That's good.
Jot it down, because I think it's all around keeping relevance and keeping ourselves in people's thoughts and the subtle ways that you can do it. So thank you for those.
Thank you both for this, and really appreciate the opportunity to get to know you better and know Quay Pharma a little bit better. And thanks for your partnership with CPHI, and looking forward to a great Festival of Pharma.
Gents, thank you very much for this your time and efforts this morning.
All right, likewise. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Take care.
Well, have a good day.
Talk to you again. You too. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to QuayCast. Please share and follow for future episodes.